Hey everyone, welcome back to the Also Archives. My name is Shannon Also Brooks, and I'm pleased to announce that I have matched into my top choice general surgery residency program through the military match. And so it's been quite a journey to get to this point and almost, 2 months away from graduation, but I'm very excited to see where the next 6 years will take me. However, I'm making this video to hopefully give you all some tips and tricks on what you can do to be successful in the military match. And this video is meant for all service members who are applying for residencies. And I am a Air Force medical student, so just keep that in mind, as some of this information might be more specific to the Air Force, but I'm trying to keep all the recommendations very general. But I hope this video is helpful for you, and please make sure you like and subscribe to this video and my channel, and please email me if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much for watching. So the first question is, what can I do during third year to prepare for match season? My biggest advice would be to ask for your letters of recommendation very, very early. You will want to make sure your letters are from physicians who are of your intended specialty. So for me, I applied general surgery, and all my letters were from general surgeons who were in the armed services. I didn't have a lot of surgeons that I was able to get within the Air Force, but if you can get some within your own branch, that's even better. And after that, I would say start looking into the various programs that are going to be offering away rotations or active duty rotations. And make sure you look at those programs way in advance so you can ensure that you're going to programs that you're interested in applying for and ranking very highly on your list. Because in the military, it's all about who you know and where you can put your best foot forward and present yourself well. And the only way that you can really do that the best is by going on active duty rotations. So make sure you look up those early and get them settled early, because they do fill up fast. So what is the general timeline of the military match? For starters, around August, early September, you'll start to have to submit your initial applications and things like that. Between September and early October, you will complete all of your interviews. And then once you get into the end of October, you're gonna have to submit all of your final packet. Your letters of recommendation, personal statement, all these things are gonna be due, no changes after late October. In November, the board will meet and make their decisions and do the rankings. And then in early December, mid-December is when you will get your match result. All right, so next question is, what are the different types of military residency positions I can apply for? In order to try to simplify this, I've made a little chart that I'm gonna show here to explain what they are. But the three types are your active duty positions, your civilian deferred positions, and then civilian sponsored positions. So I've broken them down here, but I'll explain just a little bit about each one and how the service commitment is different. So for your active duty positions, you will be paid by your branch of service, not by the hospital that you are a part of. Another thing to know about the DHA tri-service active duty spots is that these programs are not guaranteed interviews. You will have to reach out to the program coordinator directly to request an interview. And when that happens, you will have to send various documents. I believe it was my CV and my personal statement and maybe a photo. And you will send the documents, they will review your profile, and then they will choose to offer you an interview or not. This is different from the military interviews, the full military interviews, in that these programs are pretty much a guaranteed interview, but you do have to request to interview with each of the programs. My understanding is that you do not have to interview with every single active duty military program. For us in the Air Force, we only had to interview with a minimum of 2 program directors to qualify for the match process. But in my experience, I interviewed with each program because I wanted to learn more about what they had to offer, speak with the program directors, and I used it as a tool to just help me to get a better understanding of what these programs were all about. But really, only 2 were required. Civilian deferred positions, these are just your bare bones ERAS applications. So you are a civilian resident, you don't get paid by your branch of service, and you're kind of hands off. The military is hands off until you're done with residency. Then finally, the civilian sponsor positions. These are few and far between from what I have heard. And these are the programs where you go to a civilian program, but the military will pay you to go there. I hope that makes sense and will clarify some of these things for you, and I hope the graph is helpful as well. Next question is, do I have to do a military away rotation or a standard away rotation to successfully match? And how many rotations should I do? For the Air Force, we get, and through the scholarship program, we get 2 active duty rotations that are paid for, and these have to be at military facilities. And so I was only able to do 2, but I've heard of some students, some applicants who were able to fund additional active duty rotations on their own. So the more that you can do, the better, of course, because the more people will see you and get to know you, get to see how you work. But the minimum requirement is 2. Do I need to apply for military and civilian positions? The answer is it's highly recommended. It's my understanding that all military applicants have to apply through the military, but once you apply, there are ways that you can express your interest in the various 3 programs that I mentioned in the last question. So, for example, you can rank your civilian deferred spots first, then you can rank the active duty spots, and then you can rank the civilian sponsored spots. Now, let's say you wanted to do a military residency and that's your top choice. You rank your active duty programs first, civilian sponsored, and then civilian deferred. So it really depends on what you want to do and what spots are offered during the year that you apply. But there is room to customize and mix and match and do things the way you want to do. But it is recommended to have a backup in the civilian application process, to where in the event that you do not match military, you will have the ERAS application and interviews as a fallback. When applying for civilian applications through ERAS, should I tell programs that I am a military applicant? And I say 100% yes. I think that being a military applicant sets you apart from other applicants who are in your cycle, and it really makes you stand out among the crowd. So I always put that in there for that reason alone. And then 2, because in the event, the hopeful event that you will match military, those programs will already have an idea because they saw on your application that you are a military applicant. So it won't come as a surprise if you match in December and have to withdraw your application from ERAS. So I just think it's a great courtesy to let programs know who you are and where you're coming from, so they know all that ahead of time. How many civilian programs should I apply to on ERAS? It depends on your specialty. For me, I was hopeful and confident that I would match military, but I wanted to cover all of my bases. So I did apply to about 45 to 50 programs on ERAS. And it does get quite expensive, but that's your security blanket if you don't match in the military match in December. So I would recommend applying to how many programs you think you're comfortable with applying for financially, and then to the programs that'll get you the amount of interviews you need as a backup in the event that you don't match. Another tip regarding civilian and military applications, you want to apply for these and start gathering materials for these applications at the same time. In my experience, I was working on ERAS and working on military hand in hand together. Although the military application process is a little earlier, they do both overlap. And so if you do both together, you will just save yourself a lot of heartache later on, because once the ERAS applications start to be due, you will be in the midst of a ton of military interviews. So if you get them done both at the same time, you can free yourself up to really devote the time you need to your interview cycle. How many military spots are offered in each specialty per year? This is a good question. There is a huge document that will come out in early spring, I believe it is, each year, and will show you a breakdown of all the locations, all the hospitals, and how many spots are available in each residency position. So this document, it comes in very handy when you're looking to see where you want to apply and how you want to do things. This is also a good document to reference. The notes section at the bottom will give you a lot of the fine details about how to apply, how to reach out to these various programs and things like that. So make sure you read that document in its entirety when it's released. What were your military residency interviews like? Military residency interviews are identical to civilian residency interviews. I know that most civilian residency interviews are kind of pushing more to be in person, but at least in my year for my match year, all of my interviews were via Zoom, except for the one interview that I did do while I was on active duty rotation. So that's the only real difference, is that if you're going to do your active duty rotations, make sure you do them early, so that way if you do have opportunities to interview in person, you can do so, and the faculty and the PDs will get to know you early as opposed to later on in the cycle when they've already started making decisions. What do I wear to interview? Since they are military interviews, majority of applicants that I interviewed with, we all wore our Class B uniforms or equivalent to our services. And so that's what I would recommend, is wearing your military uniform. I think it looks professional, it looks nice. Some applicants on interview days with me that just wore business casual, and I think that was fine too. What happens if you start receiving civilian ERAS interviews before you've matched in the military match? This exact thing happened to me, and I think it happens to all of us who are applying in both matches. I started receiving interviews for ERAS, and I was 2-3 weeks out from December 11th, which was our match day for the military. And so what I started to do is I just scheduled out all of my ERAS interviews after the military match day. And if the programs that are inviting you do not have a date that's after mid-December when you need to hear from the match, you can email them directly and tell them that you are a military applicant and you're awaiting military match. And if there's any way they can put you on a list or put you on a later interview date, so you don't have to interview while you're waiting for the military match result. And in my own personal experience, when I scheduled these interviews for ERAS, I scheduled them 3, 4, even 5 days after the military match. So at least that way there was a buffer of a couple days to where I could send emails out to all these programs and let them know I wasn't going to be attending the interview. Some of those interviews were in person, so that's another reason to push those back way further so you don't disrupt the interview cycle too much with these programs. And finally, once you get that congratulations email you matched from the Air Force or your respective branch, what happens next? 9 times out of 10, the program director themselves might call you and wish you a congratulations in those next couple minutes to hours. And then you will also receive, at least from the Air Force, you will receive just kind of a statement of understanding and a statement saying that you accept the position that you've been offered. And I would say make sure you read these documents very carefully. Make sure it says the program that you've actually got accepted to and the years of time that you apply for and all that good stuff before you sign it. And then after that, you just get to sit back and relax and enjoy the holiday season. On the flip side, if the military match does not go as planned, ideally you would have applied for a significant amount of ERAS residency programs, and then you would have received interviews for those, and you can start to go through those interviews. At this point, you would be well trained from all of your military interviews and will be able to perform very well in your civilian applications. Overall, my reflection from this entire process is always communicate and send emails, ask questions if you don't know what's going on. There were several times where I didn't know how to apply or what to do or who to contact to get a rotation and get an interview and all that. But definitely don't be shy about these things. You can miss deadlines if you don't reach out and ask questions. So make sure that you are getting everything in a timely manner and asking questions when you don't know. So that way you don't miss out on opportunities that you would have otherwise had. Thank you all for watching my video. If you have any questions at all or need to clarify something, leave a comment or send me an email at alsoarc@gmail.com, and I will happily respond to you. And thank you all for watching my video.